Since the dawn of man, we have been tested with horrific events, such as animals attacking, to other people attacking, to Mother Nature's horrific power. Nowadays, we can kick up our feet and watch a scary movie, a horror movie, or read a horror story for entertainment. Is it because we're intrigued by the unknown, or scary themes, supernatural, or just plain frightening? Let's hear what some people's opinions on why they like to be scared, or what they love about being scared by entertainment, such as books and especially movies.
Hi, my name is William Nielsen McAllister. Just my full name.
I have a question.
Yes.
Of many.
Yes.
This is the first one.
Okay, cool.
What is your? This is like the hardest question too. What is your favorite horror movie?
Oh yeah, that is a super hard question. No, my favorite horror movie. Here's the thing, I'm gonna tell you an answer, and then tomorrow I'm gonna like run after you and track you down and say I was wrong, it's this answer, and then the next I'll be like, no, what I really meant was it was this answer. So it's really hard, but I can tell you some of my. It's way hard. If we're going like monster movie, kind of creature film horror, it would be The Thing from 1982 by John Carpenter, otherwise known as John Carpenter's The Thing. If it was, but I like, gosh, I'm gonna give you a handful because I just love so many of them. I like The Changeling a lot with George C. Scott. It's a good one. It's a good classic ghost story, but it has cool twists in it and such. It's so good. And I love Me the Gate from the 80s. I feel like that is a choice, lesser known gem of a horror film. Let's just go with that for right now, those three.
Okay. That's a hard question for me too, I understand. The second question is, how did you get into horror movies?
How did I get into horror movies? It's kind of, I don't know. Because I remember when I was a really little kid, I was a scared-y cat. If I was terrified by even movies that weren't in the horror genre. The Labyrinth with David Bowie and Jim Henson's masterpiece, that scared me. I got like 4 minutes into it. When the goblin puppets came and stole the baby, I was done. I couldn't do it. I was too scared. Masters of the Universe, the motion picture, scared me. So I was really afraid of horror films as a kid, and so I think what happened was I pushed myself to watch more and more of them to face my fear. This all happened when I was very, very young, because it wasn't too long before I really got into them, but I remember being super duper scared of them, and I guess I must have hated being afraid and wanted to fight against it. So I just kept pushing myself, diving into this genre of the horror film.
Awesome. The third question is, who is your favorite writer, director, just anybody who does horror stuff? Okay,
that's a good question. Really good. And I have this deep love for John Carpenter. And I know he does more than just horror. You know, the man has done his zany action comedies, his straight up action flicks, his really cool genre pieces, his science fiction, but he's done many a good horror film, and I just think he's a cool guy, just as a man and as a filmmaker. So I think John Carpenter would be my fave.
That's a very choice answer. 4 is, if you could remake a movie or turn a story into a film, what would you pick? Alright,
well, first I wouldn't remake a movie, because I'm getting tired of the remakes. So I wouldn't do that, but I would love to take a story and adapt it. There's a story that I encountered in the all too wonderful and classic Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I love that book so much. And that might also have been how I got into horror too. This is like a side story. But I was fascinated and terrified by the imagery in that book, the pictures by Steve Gamel. And so I would just keep reading those stories. Even though movies scared me to death, The Labyrinth and the puppets, I still loved reading good scary stories. And so I recently discovered of all the stories in there, there's a bunch that I would love to adapt into short films, but one of them really spoke out to me, and I'd love to make it into a short film and then maybe expand it into a longer film. And it's just called The Haunted House. It's super basic. I love that idea of spending a night in a haunted house. I love it. That concept of like beating the ghost by staying in the ghost's place for a full night is cool, and a lot of stories have been written about that, and a lot of films have been made about that, from haunted houses to haunted hotel rooms and things like that, where you just gotta try to make it through the night. And I would love to take that classic story of just human beings facing their fears, and I would love to try to flesh it out into a film. It's really good. It's about this preacher dude trying to stay a night in a haunted house. There's a ghost. It's scary.
Yeah, I've read that one before. I wasn't sure what you're talking about at the beginning, but the preacher part reminded me. But
hello, my name is Tasha.
I have a few questions for you. The first one is, what's your favorite film, horror film?
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Why is that your favorite movie?
Well, I feel like it's really brilliant, and I love the makeup for it, and I have a huge crush on Creature. I started reading like horror books and stuff when I was in school, and my dad was into horror films, and so he kind of got me into them, and they're my favorite genre now.
Awesome. Kind of the same thing that happened to me. 3, who's your favorite writer, director for like just everything, like books, director? Just what's your favorite horror things?
I really like Bram Stoker. I really do.
Classic. That's awesome. And the fourth and final question is, if you could remake a movie or turn a story into a film, what would you pick?
Probably from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Harold, the scarecrow one. Oh, that one used to scare me when I was little. So good.
Awesome. How did you get into the whole horror genre?
Started when I was a little kid. I liked Halloween a lot. I was always drawn to more of the darker costumes and decorations like Dracula and witches and skeletons and stuff. And I like the gross decorations like eyeballs and stuff. And then back in my day, there used to be video stores for like every neighborhood. Before even Blockbuster, there was like mom and pop video stores, and just like people from the neighborhood, you know, from your neighborhood that owned video stores, and they had different sections. The horror movie section always appealed to me. I liked the movie covers. They even rented movies out at 7-Elevens, and I remember seeing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre cover, and I didn't know anything what it was or what, you know, what's he gonna do with that chainsaw. It's like what I was thinking. And then a few years down the road, I found out what he did with the chainsaw. But and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why. I'm not really like a violent or like sick person, but like deep down inside, it appeals to me, like the macabre and
the strange,
yeah, and unusual things and
the scary things.
Yeah.
That freak people out.
So I like, and maybe I just like to be scared deep down inside, like kind of creeped out and nervous. Yeah. I don't know. I like scary stuff since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I remember being at 7-Eleven again, and like they used to sell comic books, and I remember picking up a reprint of Tales from the Crypt. It was Vault of Horror, and I thought that was cool. I like Tales from the Crypt. It's EC Comics.
Yeah.
And then in film, I've really enjoyed. Like I like actors from A to Z pretty much. I like to name a few. I like Bela Lugosi, the original Dracula. he played Dracula when they called him Dracula. Max Schreck from Nosferatu. Vincent Price, different actors. Christopher Lee,
Lon Chaney Jr. and Sr.
Lon Chaney. Yeah, the original Lon Chaney was. I really thought that was cool when I found out Lon Chaney did all of his own makeup effects in the movies and stuff.
Like he applied the makeup himself.
Yeah, he would go into a room and have a little box and come out looking like the Phantom of the Opera or London After Midnight. London After Midnight, I think is the name of the movie that you can't see anymore. It's anyway, whatever. Film directors like John Carpenter did the original Halloween.
Thing.
The Thing.
They Live, which is more sci-fi, I guess.
And then
he did The Fog.
yeah, that's a good one, a really good one. George A. Romero is one of my favorites. He did one of my favorite movies, The Night of the Living Dead, the original 1968 movie. And yeah, so I mean, it's pretty much anything and anybody that's like Stephen King. I like Stephen King.
Cool.
And I like even like different collectibles and stuff like that are just like, you know, do a lot of cool horror things.
Like you like.
Like I remember like horror models when I was a kid, and even like things like Rat Fink.
Yeah, you have a lot of horror stuff, action figures.
I like everything horror. Like I don't know, just one person. I don't know. There's artists that I think are cool and stuff. So.
Yeah. So I have. This is probably the hardest question of all.
Okay.
What is your favorite movie? Horror movie?
Night of the Living Dead, the original George A. Romero, 1968 zombie. You know, it reinvented zombies. Before that, it was zombies were a voodoo thing, and when he made the movie, he didn't even intend for them to be zombies. They were ghouls, Walking Dead. I mean, they're like the Walking Dead or the undead. The Living Dead, yeah, that's what the name of the movie is. But
The Living Dead, yeah.
but it inspired Walking Dead, and it inspired. I mean, it's such a great idea and such a cool, revolutionary idea that inspired the Walking Dead and inspired like a whole wave genre, a wave and a subgenre.
Pretty much
the zombie subgenre.
Movies to this day are like that.
Because before that, there was I Walk with a Zombie, White Zombie, and they were all like voodoo type stories and voodoo mythology.
Yeah. Why is Night of the Living Dead your favorite movie?
I think it's the primordial fear in everybody is to fear fear death, and it's like we're afraid of our loved ones dying. But what would even be more of a fright would be if they rose from the grave and
As dead.
I mean
half living things.
They're dead. They already died, and they come back alive, and that's I think a really scary thing. So I think it's a very appealing in like a sick sense. I mean, like a sick idea that they're. I mean, it's scary. I can't think. It's a scary idea, and I think it's cool, and it still works today. It was, I don't know, almost 40, 50 years ago, and it's still the idea still sticks, and it's still. And then another reason I like it a lot is that it kind of broke barriers for one of the characters was a black man, and he's kind of
the hero. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting and cool that they did that very early. It was in the 60s. It was still pretty early.
Well, in the 60s there was the revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, like segregation was still going on, and
well, That's only all the questions I have.
And I think, yeah, I just think it still holds up. It's a very inspiring movie because it's a low budget, independent film, and I don't know. I think it's an inspiration for filmmakers that are independent. Like for me, it's an inspiration.
Yeah.
An idea that would be cool. I think it'd be cool if they did like another anthology film, kind of like Creepshow, or like Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be fun to see, like really colorful, like Creepshow, like another movie like that would be cool. Maybe Creepshow 3, the real Creepshow 3.
Creepshow 3.
Yeah, if they got like
George A. Romero and Stephen King on it, that'd be pretty cool.
If they got people involved. People that were involved in the first Creepshow, or even doing something like the magazine's Creepy would be cool if they did a creepy
kind of like
movement or movie, or they could even do a TV show. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be fun. There's so many anthology films already that I'm kind of catching up on watching. Some of them from the 70s. I just barely watched the Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror movies. They're really fun, really cool movies, British.
Yeah. Okay, you're Jeannie Anderson, right?
Yes, I'm Jeannie Anderson.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
You grew up in an age where you grew up like with the classic horror movies. You watched them. What is one of your fondest memories of these classic horror movies?
Probably the fondest memories I have of the classic horror movies is being able to, when my dad would let me stay up on Friday nights, because Nightmare would be on every Friday night at midnight, and we would watch those movies together. And I thought it was pretty fun to be able to stay up late and watch these movies, and there was a different movie every Friday, and it was something I looked forward to.
Did they ever scare you?
Yeah, they did scare me. Even the opening line, there was a guy that would start the movie and say, "Welcome to Nightmare." Ha 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 ha. And it was really fun to watch them. And I like the older movies because they weren't so... Nowadays, I don't really care for the horror movies because they're so gory and they don't leave anything to the imagination.
You were saying earlier how you don't like new horror movies because you think that they're gory, like gross, they have a lot of explicit content. And some of the themes are a little darker than the old ones. But I'm wondering if you think of that just because they're older, because when Frankenstein first came out, they had to edit some parts out of it because they thought it was too extreme.
No, I think back then that they did have extreme, like Twilight Zone, and they were extreme, but they weren't so explicit and gory. And I think that they don't. I think you can have a really good scary movies without being so gory and explicit. I think that you can just, you know, actually I think they were even scarier probably a lot of times. I just think that they just kind of ruined some of the movies by doing that.
Yeah. Well, the themes I think were always dark and scary, like Dracula's gonna come.
Yeah, there's the
suck
themes.
Your blood out of your neck.
Of course, there was a lot of scary things that you would get. You know, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. One movie that we watched was Hill House, where the ghost would come in the room and try to hold the. Probably was a haunting of the. I think it was Hill. It was a House on Haunted Hill. Yeah.
The haunting is
the House on
Hill.
Yeah, the House on Haunted. But anyway, they would scare you where you couldn't sleep or go to sleep right away at night and stuff. But
another funny thing that you told me when I was a kid was they used to play like horror movies in the church in your neighborhood.
We used to go pass out the matinee papers every Saturday morning, and everybody come in the matinees on Saturday and what? And they in the church. Yeah. So So
They don't do that type of stuff anymore.
No, and that was a fun time too, to go to the matinees on Saturday, and they did play all kinds of movies, but they did play some horror movies too. But they can't do that now because I think they're just a little too explicit. And
Yeah.
If they're any good, they're explicit. Beware. Take care. That's it, yeah.